just that much quicker.
Coach, you had a strong recruiting class for limited time.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious, since you've been with both Bobby Bowden and Nick Saban, both very good recruiters, did those guys recruit in a similar fashion? Were they similar closers, and what did you learn from each?
They're a little more different. Coach was a closer. Coach Bowden was a closer. He didn't get involved in a lot of the day-to-day operations of the recruiting. He let the system in. He was the guy who come in and boom, he shut the door. Nick is much more hands-on on the day-to-day part of it with phone calls and the relentless part of it and building that relationship with him, the coach, and all the people around him. But then he's also very good in the home also because he has a message. He understands what he wants. He's a very diligent guy in how he does things, and he's great in the home. So I think both of them, to me, are two of your top recruiters that I've been around in the 22 years I've been around. Probably two of the best I've ever been around.
And how do you think it has affected how you recruit and how that played into your first recruiting class?
Well, I think it did in operation-wise of understanding the strategy. And recruiting is building relationships. It's understanding things and persistent work with building relationships. And the other thing is be genuine. Understand this world, whatever you do in this world, why you got to be fake? Be who you are and what you do, so people understand it, and people see through it. Especially the kids you're recruiting, they see through it quicker than ever, and I think that's the key to it. But Coach Saban knows how the organization, how the relentless pursuit, but also to pursue with a message. You know what I mean? Where do you see? Because kids want to know, all right, where do I fit in? What's my role? Where am I going? Where am I headed? Mm-hmm. Why should I come there? What do you have for me that sets you apart? And I think that was a thing that Nick did a great job, and then Coach Bowden did a great job with his people skills and coming in and really being a closer.
And Coach Bowden, I think, said you don't recruit kids, you recruit mamas and daddies. Do you have a similar view?
Well, I do, and I think you got to recruit whoever, and you got to find out who the decision maker is. You got to identify the decision maker because, unfortunately, today, not all kids have mamas and daddies. That's the difference. Sometimes you have to recruit a kid. You may have to recruit an uncle. You have to recruit a grandma. You may have to recruit a brother. It just depends on who it is, and present that case. But it's still like that is his mom and dad. That's how you look at it.
What would you say your dominant emotion is now, Jimbo, after the coach in waiting, the Crown Prince, the deck is finally cleared, and now you're going to move into your first head coaching job, the man in charge? What are the prevalent emotions for that?
My emotions right now, it's excitement, but it's preparation. Just like you have to prepare to be successful. I can't be happy just to be here. I have the job now. Now what are you going to do with it? It's like getting to the national championship game when you get there. Don't be happy just to get there. You got to do well in it. And I think the biggest thing right now is the preparation and understanding from A to Z in the organization, what the organization you want to represent, how you want it ran, and who you want running it. And be able to prepare all those situations.
How close is Florida State to being at that national championship level again?
According to Tim Brando, we're ready this year. I did an interview with him a little bit ago. He said, I said, what the heck, throw it out there. But no, I mean, I don't know. It's amazing because we went to Auburn University in 1993. All right, we were 5, and they were 5-5-1, 5-6. Went 11. People forget the first year Florida State won the national championship in 93. The only undefeated, untied team in America was Auburn, who defeated Alabama the previous. Now, how close was that team walking in? You don't know. There's a funny thing in athletics. We have good athletes, to make your point. We have a lot of ingredients if the ball bounces right. But there's a key word in there that comes into play. It's called confidence. Just like any time in your job, when you realize you can do your job and you can do it well, it kind of is an arrogance to you, but there's a confidence to you that, if I do what I do, I can be pretty daggone good. And that's the key. Whenever that comes for our players and they realize they belong, but we have good players. I think we have good players. We've got to continue to get good players. We've got to continue to develop them. And we got to get them to learn to play consistent. And then when they do, they'll have confidence in themselves, and then that's when we'll be back. But I don't think it's that far away, but it could be, just depending on how they approach it.
Do you have the necessary players?
I think we're pretty good. I mean, I don't know if we have do we have the best players in America? Probably not. Look at the draft. But do we have the worst players in America? Probably not. I mean, we're probably somewhere in between, but I'd say we're in the upper half of that. I really do. I think we got some good players.
Coach, are you saying that your swag is better than Miami's swag?
Swag is preparation and confidence in what you do. To me, it's like this. Here's what swag is. When you study for a test, and you walk in and you know the answers, that's when you got swag. When you don't study for the test and you don't have the answers, you don't have no swag walking in. You may have fake swag. You may be whistling by the graveyard swag. I call whistling by the graveyard. You know, when you walk by the graveyard at night, you had to walk by it and you realize it was a graveyard, you say, I'm not scared. And you walk by and you go, and it goes deep inside. You know, I don't want false swag. I want real swag. So we got to prepare to be successful.
Coach, a lot of coaches in the coastal said it's a very strong division this year. How do you feel about this?
I think this whole league is strong. I mean, I do. I think it's a good league. I think Georgia Tech has proven that in the past by coming up with what they're doing. Clemson has great players. BC's always in the mix for what you're trying to do. North Carolina State's got an outstanding quarterback and you've got playmakers. I mean, I think it is. I think our whole division on that side is good. Maryland bought it. We had to beat them in 2 minutes to go last year. I mean, even though they won 2 or 3 games, I mean, they all got players. And that's the thing in the South. Here's the thing. There's more athletes playing ball today than ever have. More kids playing football. All those 6'1" to 6'5" guys all those years, I thought they were Michael Jordan going to play in the NBA. I realized if they're not special with the ball at 6'5", you're not playing. Well, now that the game is spread out in football, they can go be a DB, can be a DN, be a linebacker, be a safety, be a receiver, be a running back, be a tight end. So you see all those guys. So everybody has athletes. And that's the thing about the South is you got to remember 53% of the NFL players come from the southeastern part of the United States. So where's all these schools recruit at? So everybody's got players. They got enough diversity in there to beat you. So I think it's going to be very strong.
Looking back on it, was that maybe the biggest hiccup in the coach in waiting is that there was no chain of command?
I don't know if it's a hiccup, but I mean, you know, that's the way Coach Bowden was still being active and running the program. He wanted to run it. He wanted Chuck to be his number 2. You know, his assistant head coach, Mickey, made practice schedules, and I ran the offense. And I had no problem with that. I just think if you want quicker transition, I think if that guy's in how it's being run. Now, if the head coach is still running, just like, for instance, I think Mac Brown's still running that program. Even though Will Muschamp's the head coach went, because Will and I are very close. I mean, but, you know, I think Mac's still running. So, that, you know, every situation is different.
Jimbo, have you talked?
Speak briefly about how Christian is handling all this attention as kind of the conference's candidate for Heisman.
I think he's handling it very well. I think it's another learning experience, and I think it's something I'm anxious to see how he keeps continuing to handle it, but I think he's ready for the challenge because he's going to have a lot of expectations as he goes on to that next level and where he goes to. And he seems very level-headed. And if he doesn't, I'll take